I'm gonna jump right in with a confession. Since this dark side thing is now in the open, I can share it. I've got an addiction which, in the past couple of years, I've noticed started to consume me. It permeates my everyday life. Like I wake up, I go to sleep, I just can't. I'm just so addicted to it. And this specific addiction is when I zoom out and look at what it is, and I look back, I notice that it's actually an addiction to the process of creation. This is not very much unlike or like Usher's addiction to sex. Or those of you who know Wuhan is a dear friend at Mindvalley who just had his sixth baby, which he delivered by hand. Now he's addicted to the process of creation as well, but this is slightly different. So, let me show you what I mean, okay? And this process of creation, through telling you about this process of creation, I'm going to share with you some growth hacks to help you rapidly create more and create faster with your own personal vision, your team, and your organization. So the discovery was when I look back, again, only when I look back, I see that from a very young age, I like to create things. For example, a costume party. I can't buy a costume. It makes me angry and outraged when I have to buy a costume. So it's against the rule of my life. It's a cardinal sin to buy a costume. I have to make it. So over here, we've got me dressed as Caesar from Planet of the Apes. I augmented my face for that costume. I took a knife, true story, I took a knife and I carved an apple and put it into my mouth to give me that shape. My friends was like, Khailee, you don't need so much, makeup. But I told them, I said, I can't help it. It's something I have to do. I have to make this costume. And I don't only stop right there. I don't just make it for myself. I have to make it for my friends. I sewn 8 nun costumes so I can go as Sister Act. We hit the club, we're partying, bottle full of bub, I got what you need. We're there as Sister Act. Down there, okay? I didn't have a chance. I didn't have any material. This was a Mindvalley team retreat, I think 2 years ago or something. Yeah, anyway, so I was there. And I didn't have a chance. I didn't have any material. I looked in my hotel room. Okay, what can I do? The theme is an Arabic night or whatever. So that's me in the center. That's my shower robe from the hotel. That's a belt. I have to make it. I can't help it. It's a gift I can't turn off, right, Dave? So, so I made myself a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I changed my gender and became Serena Williams. That was one of my failures. I didn't know what I am anymore. I tried. And I just can't read websites. When I first introduced to the internet at the age of 13, I was exposed to lots of good content on the internet, a lot of healthy content on the internet. I was like, I can't just consume this, I have to make it. I taught myself web design. I started making websites for people. I flipped through newspapers. Oh, this company doesn't look like I have a website, okay. Call it up. Hi, I saw an ad in the newspaper. I was looking for your website. Oh, you don't have a website? So I made websites for people. These are... This is me and my friends. We're at a hackathon. We're making websites, having a lot of fun. And I discovered, and this when my addiction got way out of hand, I discovered that business was such an excellent vehicle for creation. You could literally plunk out an idea, put some money, put some people together, and it can grow. So that's what I did. Fantastic vehicle for creation. This is the second-hand furniture we cobbled together in my first company. We were just moving in and unpacking. This all people not even sure where their lives were going to head. We built a company which was a news company, which we merged with a larger media group, and we're planning to IPO that company next year. I built a group buying website, which in 3 months, I was like group buying website number 86 or something, right? But in 3 months, we became number 2 in the country, and subsequently bought by Groupon. So that whole journey was probably 4 months from starting to actually selling the company to Groupon. And beyond there, we continued creating. We grew from 8 people up to 160 people in 6 months, revenues of 150,000 up the way to 1.5 million a month in the span of 6 months. That was creation on crack or steroids or something. But a lot of that is also because I had a wonderful business partner called Joel Neo. Both him and I will be on stage on Sunday to talk about business partnerships, which is another topic. But yeah, so that's something we did. For creating businesses, I went to help others create businesses as well. I took a vacation. I said, okay, you know what, Khailee, time to chill the fuck out. Just go take a vacation. I went to Silicon Valley, and I spent 3 months in startup, arguably one of the world's best startup accelerators. At the time, it was batch 5. They had 33 companies from around the world gathered there in Silicon Valley. I spent 3 months of my vacation working with them to help create their businesses, investing money in them. This is me, my first angel investment in the US. After I put my money in, they continued to raise $5.5 million US. We're here in the Hamptons for my next vacation, figuring out how they're going to spend $5.5 million to build a billion-dollar company. And eventually I said, you know what? This venture capital vehicle, just like business, this investment vehicle is a crazy awesome way to facilitate the process of creation. 500 Startups is a global seed fund. They invest money in businesses, and they've got an accelerator in Silicon Valley, which you've seen. They've invested in over 500 companies in the past 3 years from across 38 countries, and these companies collectively went on to raise over $1 billion US, and they're just getting started. So my job is I've got a $10 million allocation. My job is to go around Southeast Asia to look for people I can give money to. And it's so weird, because usually when you help somebody, you try and take money from them, but I'm trying to help people and give them money. So after direct experience in the past couple of years doing all of this, right, building my own companies and investing and advising other companies as well, I noticed a couple of patterns begin to emerge in this process of creation. There were many times where people were trying to learn from successes, people were trying to learn from failures, but there's something that people don't talk about so much. It's what happens in between a success and a failure. All the media articles you read is all about, oh, this guy made it big, he did all that, or this fella failed, or whatever. But in between, there's a state I call, very sophisticatedly called, being stuck. And in the Valley, we got a term for that, where some people call it zombie companies. They're not dead. They're making some money, but they're not growing fast either. So like Walking Dead, like Walking Dead companies. So there are different stages of the creation process which one can get really, really stuck in. So I'm going to talk a bit about 3 of these distinct stages and what you can do to not get stuck. Now, so many get stuck in the early game. I noticed I put 2 really big words up there. It's not just abundance. It's like exponential abundance. You know, I've blown up the universe by putting these 2 words together. Basically what I'm trying to say is that because right now, it's like you not only have access to opportunity, you have access to opportunity at a faster and faster rate. That's why you can succeed exponentially in the way a lot of the businesses that I'm involved in my industry grows really fast. So, however, too many of them get stuck in the early stage. The first stage, that's a bit of color over there that you can see a yellow behind that. But anyways, the first stage is when they act on a vision. They've got this great idea. And this is something, I want to share this stuff with you so not only can use it for yourselves, maybe you can give it to your friends as well. Maybe you've got a friend who has an idea or has a burning vision or a desire. And they share it with you. They share it with their parents. Bad choice. They share it with investors. And they get all kinds of feedback, and they start doubting themselves. Is my idea really good enough? They launch a product, they go to customers, they work with enterprise customers, maybe consumer customers, and they're getting, oh man, you get all this feedback, this mixed signal. And they start to doubt themselves. Is my idea really good enough? Now, this is one point that you can get stuck. You can get stuck doubting yourself and tweaking your idea to perfection. Oh, maybe it's not ready yet. Oh, maybe I need to do a bit of this, then I'm going to go raise my round. Maybe I'm going to, you know what I mean? 1 year later, you know, you go back to your high school reunion. Hey, what you working on? Oh, the thing you told me about 8 years ago. Yeah, it's good. It happens. You get stuck there. Another place you can get stuck is that, let's say you get past this stage and you got a good idea. Customers are beating their way down to your front door just to buy your products. People love your idea. You can be faced with a problem where you got so many customers and you're growing so fast that you need to hire people, or you need to at least build a team to help you with this, with all that demand. And you get stuck there. You're like, oh man, how do I get great talent to join me? Like, the kind of people I want to hire, they're already working in investment banks or management consultants, they're getting these high paychecks, you know, programmers. Oh, where am I going to find a programmer? All the best programmers are taken. You can get stuck there. You get stuck there for years. Third one, let's say you've already figured out your idea and your product, and people are buying it, it's crazy. You figured out how to hire talent, and you can hire talent, the best talent, super fast. And I know Mindvalley really figured this out really good. They can hire talent super fast. Then they're at a point where it's no longer about you being stuck, but the company's being stuck. Now, why is the company stuck? The company's stuck because the new people who join the team, they don't feel it's a place where they can connect to anymore. You've got such a large organization of hundreds of people, you know, and me, in my personal experience, you know, I've walked into an office, I'm like, who is that guy? Who hired him? Is he picking his nose? What? I mean, you can't feel that connection anymore. And it's times like this where they can't feel the connection with you. They may lose the connection with your vision, your initial vision. They may get to think that, oh man, we're such a huge team now. How do we maintain the culture and the speed? Big companies, office politics, yeah, it's a given. Yeah, the bigger company gets, the slower they get, And that's when you get stuck. And this time it's not just you being stuck, the company's been stuck. Okay, so what can we do? Let's not get stuck. That's what we're here to talk about. I'm going to share with you some growth hacks, right, to move forward from one stage to the next stage to the next stage, especially when you're stuck in that position, or you have friends or clients who are stuck in that position. The first one is called the eventuality, and that helps you with your vision. The next one is called the heist. That helps you with getting a team. The third one is called the ripple, and that helps you and your company and people in your company unstuck yourselves and keep growing faster than ever before. So we're going to start with the eventuality. And this starts with a story. Okay. My girlfriend, she launches an app, right? She launches an app to help girls get alerted when their loved ones are in danger. So it's a personal security app. Basically, let's say you're going for a yoga tomorrow morning for an hour, right? And you're afraid that if you go yoga tomorrow morning, you're not going to come back from that. So you put in your app, you say, okay, I'm going yoga from this time to this time for an hour. 1 hour after the yoga session, the app asks you, are you safe? And if you're safe, you say, yeah, I'm safe. But let's say in between, you meet a tiger and the tiger mauls you and it chews off both your arms. And you can't, you're not in the right place. They need people to come help you. The app's going to ask you, after an hour, are you safe? And if you just can't use the stubs of your arms to turn that off, it sends audio, video, and your location to your loved ones. So it's automatic. Sounds like a good idea? She thought so too. She launched the product. She had a few 100,000 downloads, #1 in the Malaysian and Singaporean app store. She raised some money on it. But along the way, she's starting to doubt herself. She's like, she had a lot of investors. I mean, I'm not kind of being gender biased, but a lot of male investors didn't understand her idea. They were like, I've got such large biceps. I don't need that app. It was very hard for a lot of male investors to understand a need for a danger alert kind of app. Like personal safety wasn't the top of their minds. So she was worried that only paranoid women would download this. And she has exhausted 200,000 paranoid women who are afraid that tigers are going to maul them during yoga to download it, and it's not going to be a big business. So I asked her this. I said, will more and more people use smartphones? Yes. Like, say dumb phones? Like, there are more dumb phones than there are humans right now. So wouldn't it be such that there's going to be more smartphones than humans? Everyone's going to use smartphones, right? She says, yeah. And I say, is safety a need? Safety is a base need. So would it be eventual if you did not exist, that there would be a company who will build millions, who would produce apps which millions of people will download on their smartphones, because it's eventual that everyone's going to have a smartphone, for their personal safety needs, because personal safety is a base need? And she said, yes. And I said, if that's going to happen, why not you? That's what I call the eventuality. Behind your business idea, behind your vision, there are some forces which are propelling it into creation, which has nothing to do with you. And as much as you can glorify yourself as the hero entrepreneur or the martyr who's going to bring this into birthing this into creation, you're not needed. A lot of times, a lot of great ideas, like, it's going to happen with or without you. And that's where you're going to be the one to make it happen. But how do we find that eventuality behind your idea? I'm going to give you another quick example, and then we're going to jump into an exercise to find eventuality behind your idea. There's a business consultant who was asked to launch a dating website in India. And this was a while back. The boss said, okay, you go research how we're going to launch in India. He came back after a month, and he told the boss, half an hour PowerPoint slide deck, third factor, about all the different cultural nuances in India and all and at the end of the presentation, he said, it's a little bit risky. I don't think we should do it. The boss says, are there men in India? Yes. Are there women in India? Yes. Is there a big dating company like Match.com in India? And at the time, no. So is it eventual that there's going to be one because they're men, they're women, and generally they need to date? And they're like, yeah, we're going to launch this tomorrow because that's going to be us. So that's what I'm talking about the power of eventuality. Who wants to do this exercise? Raise your hands. Okay, now those who raise your hands, look for somebody who didn't raise their hands. Okay. Look for somebody beside you and do this exercise with them. And we're only going to take like 3 to 5 minutes. And I'm going to like stop you guys. But share with them your vision or idea and brainstorm. What is the eventuality that's powering that vision? Okay, give it a shot. It's going to be fun. Okay, guys. We got a volunteer who's going to share eventuality with us. Give her a big round of applause. Okay, let's do this.
Okay, this is a big shift for me because it's nothing to do with the business that I'm currently doing. But the eventuality is I believe that more and more women in particular are numbing themselves because of the stresses of life, in particular plunging into addiction. There is more, alcoholism kills more people than any other disease, and it's not spoken about because it's seen as shameful, and women in particular hide it more and more and more. It's going to have to come out, and people who have been through it and come out the other side like myself, who want to talk about it, who want to remove the shame. Eventually it's going to happen in Australia. It's happened in America. There's Betty Ford and people like that who have stood up and said, hey, I've suffered from this and I can help you through. So eventually the same thing is going to happen in Australia. The shame is going to be taken away because it's going to be brought out into the open, so why not me?
All right, fantastic. Fantastic. The stress of life is getting more. There's more and more stress in life. There's more and more access to addictive substances to numb yourselves. And eventually, people are going to need a space to talk about that and solve that. So why not her? Mind-blowing. Now, she could have shared the idea with you. Like, okay, I'm going to start this club in Australia for people to talk about addiction. And oh, that's a great idea. But it wouldn't have the same impact which she just did. You know, she's going to blow minds with this. And people are going to question, oh, how are you going to do it? No. I was having a conversation with Sasha just now, Sasha. And he was talking about, he's a natural businessman. He was pitching me eventuality all the way. He was like, whoa, self-storage. Singapore, 30 units. You know where you rent space to store stuff? Singapore, 30 units, so small. The US, thousands of units. Malaysia, only 2. I'm going to launch the next one, and 30 more. Well, you want to give him money? Well, I wanted to give him money, man. So there you go, the eventuality. And you've been through it. The steps is you write down a sentence describing your vision or idea or your dream or whatever you call it. Then you remove yourself from that equation. And ask yourself, will it come true whether or not you exist? Why? What are these forces that's going to make it an obvious eventuality? And when you help your friends do this exercise, and when you help yourself do this exercise, you're going to see how powerful your pitch is going to be. Now you've found out, now you're using the eventuality to build inner conviction for your idea. This is a growth hack in a non-conventional sense. It's not a strategy, it's not a tactic. This is something you do inside. It's some inner game stuff. Once you build that conviction with the eventuality powering your idea, it's going to be easier to pitch to people, whether it's customers, whether it's customers or investors or employees, and they're going to want to help you with that because they see that it's obviously going to happen. So that leads us to the heist. I made a mistake early on in my career. I used to hire people who are too qualified for the roles I'm about to give them. I had these super smart interns join me because I don't know why, because they were crazy, and I felt bad. Every talent I hired, I felt bad for them. I'm like, oh my God, this guy is getting paid 3 times in the market. I wish I could pay him that much. I remember when I first joined Mindvalley, and Vision, no, I'm kidding. When I first joined Mindvalley, Vision told me, he said, you know, Khailee, we're going to build a company that pays its fresh graduates more than a Petronas director. Right? Petronas is a big oil and gas company. And he used to say that to me. But I had the same kind of thing where I can't pay people that much because I just started. So how am I going to convince people? I felt bad. So think about how effective I was in convincing people to join me. I'm like, hey, you know, you're really good, all your skills and experience and all that, it's going to be really relevant for this business. Like, I feel really bad because I can't pay you much, but maybe you'll join me anyway. It was hard, man. Like, it was hard, you know. But I'm forgetting something. People aren't joining you because of the pay or the prestige. There are more reasons than that. So what I discovered on how do you actually pitch that right, or how do you actually solve that on the inner game level so you don't feel guilty for hiring people that you can't pay, is I discovered this after I watched Inception, right? And it wasn't because I went into a dream beyond the mattress. It's because I noticed that there was a distinct pattern in Inception as a movie, which is the same in Ocean's 11, 12, and 13, and all good heist movies. I found out that for these movies, it always starts with a bold mission. You know, oh, we're gonna We're gonna go into a dream 5 times, and we're not gonna, put an idea in. We're gonna extract the idea. We're not gonna extract. We're gonna incept an idea. Never been done before. It is crazy. I don't even know how to go into a dream, but I'm gonna ask you to do it 5 times. So, and there's, or the Bellagio, biggest, highest security casino. Okay, Ocean's 11. Let's go and rob this. Never been robbed before. Bold, impossible mission. And why am I talking to you? Because I need somebody who knows how to build a bomb. Maybe there are specific things as part of this mission, a specific purpose that you talk to specific people for. Oh, I need to build an app. I need an iOS developer. That's why I'm talking to you. And we've got so we need a good iOS developer, and we've got a good this, we've got another salesperson. You need people with a specific purpose to make your mission happen. And that's what a lot of heist movies, they just go out, they have probably 1 hour of the whole movie or half an hour going out recruiting people. Some guy to drive the truck, some guy to defuse the bomb. And then once you gather those people, you reveal a plan, you deck it out. Okay, guys, at 12:15.36.85 of a second, okay, you're going to just swing down from the ceiling, and the guard is going to drop his baton. And you run up behind him, and you ram him. And he's going to and take his keys. And then at 6:59, at 300 hours, this person's going to, there's a detailed plan. But guess what? The plan always screws up. The guy doesn't drop his baton at 3:65. He just plays with it all the time, right? And well, he's not dropping his baton. Dude, right, HQ, he's not dropping his baton. He's just playing with it. What am I going to do? But guess what? The team adapts in unexpected ways, right? The guy who's supposed to run the baton, or this dude who's supposed to drive the truck, never operated a bazooka before. Charles, you have to do it. Ugh, I don't know, man. Right, and he kicks ass at it. That's what teams do. That's what happens in a heist movie all the time. The girl doesn't know how to use a gun. Oh, this thing comes from the sky. Okay, now this journey and the whole movie, it's a promise of suspense. Why? Because every single moment, you're facing death. You're facing failure. And in movies, and in some startups too, people do die, and that's kind of serious. In the history of 500 startups across all these companies, we had 3 founders die. Physical deaths. Not from work though, like different reasons, but like talking about Amir's talk, people do die, right? So, but that's besides the point. What I'm trying to say is, in the movie, there's a lot of suspense because every moment there's possible failure. But guess what? If you succeed, you become a blockbuster legend. Succeed really well, and you might even have a sequel. Same thing with business. I had a sequel. Helping other people produce their movies. Now, isn't this exciting? Did you know that there's a lot of highly paid talent out there, bored, numb to the mind? Sasha, you were just talking about this. He was like a highly paid executive at Chevron. He was bored out of his mind. So what does he do on a weekend? He goes to a torrent engine and he downloads Inception. And he watches it. And he's like, wow, that's so fun. That's so exciting. Look at them coming together and doing this thing. Okay, millions of great talent out there bored out of their minds. But guess what? You're promising them not weekends. Thank God it's Friday. Weekends to download movies and watch it. You're inviting them to live their movie each and every single day. That's what you have. And that's what, if you don't realize this, you're not going to be hiring any good talent at all because you're just going to feel guilty like I did. When I realized that I was promising a journey of creation that nobody else could provide, the people who wanted that stepped up and they came. And we've since become a talent magnet for these types of people, from investment bankers to management consultants to the top hackers and developers in the world. They wanted to be part of these journeys because the founders understood what was so important about it and wanted to give it to them. Okay, the eventuality at the first stage where you're powering through your idea, the heist when you use the idea and you're starting to recruit people. Let's talk about a ripple. Now, what happens in a larger company is there is a very real sense of disconnect sometimes, where you walk in and there's lots of people, and the boss doesn't take time to talk to you because he's got other things to do, and you're spending days and nights putting something together, and sometimes you don't know if it's really mean anything. That's a really dehumanizing and sad place to be. And these people could feel like this in your companies, or maybe not. So how do you remind them about the magic that brought them there in the first place? If left unmanaged, this feeling will soon grow into resent. And a lot of people in companies, sometimes they feel like no matter what they do, they can't change a thing. So, and that gets really sad. So the first step, if you as a founder, when sharing with your employees, is to have them know that they have one thing they can control, which is themselves and how they feel. And they can choose an identity of being a driver in the company, a passenger in the company, or a backseat driver. I'm going to talk about all these three things. Now, imagine yourself in a family trip with your mom and dad, and you're driving on road trip to your hometown, to Disneyland. And your dad's driving, and he's horrendously lost, right? He's driving. And then a helpful passenger, hey, Dad, you want some water? You look really thirsty. Here you go, have some water. It's like, okay, Dad, yeah, maybe you should try this. It's a helpful passenger. But there is also a backseat driver, like my mom. She'd be like, hi, yo, why did you just take that turn? We were talking turn right, you turn left. Why are you even driving a car? You could have stopped and asked that nice man, but you just passed him, and you just passed the turn. Like, what? So turn left now, turn left. This happens in companies as well, Somebody's trying to initiate a project, and some people are just trying to help this guy. Hey, that's a great idea, Bob. Hey, let's do that. Yeah, hey. And this person, Bob, come on. Stop doing it. What are you doing that? Who's going to care, man? So, of course, there's a backseat driver, but I didn't put something that's even worse of identity. It's called a backstabbing backseat driver. Like my brother. He's at the back of my dad. He's like, Bob is so bad at driving. He's just muttering to himself, Khailee, why did you drive? Like, why is he driving again? We've been through this before. You know what? I'm never going on a road trip again. In a company, you got the same thing. You're not vocal about it. Maybe you got vision, trying to launch a new initiative to go into a new galaxy, and then somebody's back, vision is. So, as an individual, each person in your company, you got to decide, who do you want to be? Are you actually a driver? Are you a passenger? Are you a backseat driver? Next thing. Okay, your lunch buddies. Who says you can't change people in your company? Everybody in a company goes to lunch with somebody, right? If not, maybe you should find a lunch buddy. But if you do already have a lunch buddy, you can have these conversations with them. You can set standards. I'll tell you a true story. When I first started in Mindvalley, it's the first week, I was having lunch with the CTO, Jiang T, at the time. And we're at Jiang T, and there was Khailee, who was a programmer. We're sitting there, and Khailee said, in lunch, right? Khailee said, I think Welly's CSS, it's like a web programming language thing. CSS is really sloppy. Jiang T put down his fucking knife and said, why are we talking about Welly when he's not here? I was like, oh my God, this guy is serious. Shit just got serious. He put down his knife, shit. And Khalid was like, because I was looking at his code and it kind of looked a bit sloppy. And Jiang T was like, we don't talk about our colleagues when they're not around, okay? After this, we're going to go upstairs, we're going to invite Welly together, and then we're going to talk about it with him. Continue that meal in silence. Don't look at him. Don't make any eye contact, man. Jiang, he's angry. Dark side, right? So we go up there, we talk about it. It was like, I committed the code when I was midway through it, and I committed the code. I wasn't supposed to commit, but I was committed. So he was halfway through it. He wasn't even done. Imagine if Jiang T didn't lay down the law. Khalid will be saying, Welly is really sloppy. And then I may not even know what CSS is. Then I'll just go back to the office. Oh my God, look at that sloppy bugger right there. What's he slopping around? Why does Mindvalley have so many sloppy people? I thought we hired great people. Where's all these sloppy people coming from? With your lunch buddies, the conversations you have is going to shape their minds. It's going to destroy your culture depending on what you tolerate and what you do not tolerate. Your employees have to know that. Just a simple set of words can mean everything. The third one, it's about your immediate team. So my tech team, it's a very popular thing, Scrum. It's like it's agile development. So they part of this Scrum methodology, they've got a morning stand-up meeting where they just huddle, and it's called a stand-up because they just huddle for 10 minutes. What are you doing today? What do you need help with? That's it. Very fast. Boom, boom, boom. So they did this little ritual amongst themselves. Next thing you know, in says.com, other teams are like, why are those geeks standing up all the time in the morning? Don't they have chairs? What are they doing? They got really curious. They went there and they started talking to these geeks and okay, whoa, wow, all right. And they have their own stand-ups too. Suddenly, every team has their own little stand-ups. They're just reporting their own thing. All because the company has some cultural values or some norms, whether it's coded or decoded or not coded, doesn't mean that you and your team can't invent your own culture. and you and your team just getting together and say, you know what, in our team, we're going to do this. We're going to call ourselves the Flying Eagles. You can do whatever you want with your team. Nobody's going to stop you. But the fact of doing that gives you the sense of connection with some people. It helps you really, and it does make change. As it did with the tech guys changing the entire company, bringing that level of agile methodology throughout the whole company. Now, beyond the team, let's talk about across the company. You can start a special project. I'm going to tell you about a special project I experienced, which happened in Mindvalley. Mike Reining, one of the leaders at Mindvalley at the time, came to Yane, a friend of mine. I said, Yane, I've got a special project that I need help with. I want you to, I think that people should celebrate what they're grateful for. I think that's going to be really cool, or thank people. Can we create a blog and everyone in the company can blog on? Suddenly I was like, blogging, okay, great. Okay, great. Let me think about it, Mike, let me think about it. Okay, so Mike walks away. Yanni goes to Wuhan. Hey, Wuhan, you like designing useless icons all the time? I've got a project for you. We're going to create this app where people can choose a useless icon and say thank you to somebody else. So you can give somebody a burger and say, thank you, John, have a burger. So they created this app across a week and got people to use it, and people kept using it, and it was really cool. People loved using it. They're thanking different, oh, hey, Janine, thank you so much for that file that you passed to me on time. Here's a golden banana. It's like people just weird. So when Mike came back after a week and was looking at that app, I was like, whoa, wow. You know what he said? Mike said, wow, a blog can do that? Is OneUp still being used by Mindvalley today? One simple idea by Yane on a special project has created lasting change in Mindvalley years after he left. Special projects matter. It brings people across the company, people who you don't normally work with, it brings people together. Encourage your employees to start special projects with each other without your permission. Now, do you guys want to know how an individual employee can create change in a ripple effect across the world? You know the irony of it? It's probably the easiest thing out of all this stuff. Creating a special project, it can be hard, sometimes. But spreading that change across the world is easier. You do this by sharing your story. If there's something that happened in your company, I've shared with you a few stories today. If something that happened in your company or in other companies that worked out really well, share it with other people. Across the world, there are people talking about the culture at Zappos because Zappos bothered to share their story. If all the great things that Zappos as a company and Tony Hsieh was doing were just kept inside their files, nobody would know. And none of us could be inspired that change is possible. All because you're a big company doesn't mean you're going to be a dehumanizing, big, ugly company. You can be a big and cool company. So when you share a story with your friends, they will go back to their workplaces and they're going to try it out. When you share your story, other people are going to see that it is possible and they're not going to get stuck. They're not going to accept being stuck. They're going to look for companies who have these stories. And that's where you kind of have this ripple effect take place. So for Zappos, conferences across the world quote their examples. They've got this one practice where after a 3-week orientation, you're given $2,000 to quit. People talk about that. I'm talking about it. I wasn't given $2,000. Why am I talking about that? Because it inspired me. If something works for you in the midst of all this, share your story and watch how it changes the world. So again, we live in a time of buzzword-heavy exponential abundance, where you can act on a vision, build a team, figure that stuff out, and have your team start a movement. All this is possible, driven by the eventuality behind you, and with the talent drawn to you by the heist that you're feeling, the heist that you're engaging with right now, and because individuals every day can make a difference by recognizing that they have a ripple effect. Thank you very much.